My name is Emily. I am 16 years old. In April, I died for 14 minutes, and when I came back, I carried a message from the Virgin Mary, a message that could change your life. But before I tell you what happened during those 14 minutes, you need to understand what my life was like before that day. Because without that, you will never understand why this miracle was necessary. Before we continue, write in the comments, what is the biggest distraction in your life right now? And subscribe to the channel, because here we share real testimonies and miracles of the Virgin Mary that can transform families. Stay until the end of this story, because what she revealed to me will completely change the way you look at social media. Do you know that person who wakes up and the very first thing they do is grab their phone? That was me. Every morning my alarm rang at 6:30 a.m. Before my eyes were even fully open, I was already scrolling through Instagram. My mom, Jennifer, would call from the kitchen. Emily, you're going to be late for school again. But I barely heard her. I was watching my classmates' stories. At breakfast, I watched TikTok. In the car on the way to school, I checked Snapchat. One day, I decided to measure how much time I spent on my phone. Do you know how many hours it was? 11 hours a day. 11 hours staring at a screen. That was more time than I actually slept. My dad, Robert, tried to talk to me during dinner. Emily, how was school today? Good. I would answer automatically, without even looking up from my phone. He would sigh and continue eating in silence. My younger brother, Jake, who was 12, always wanted to spend time with me. Emily, come play video games with me. Not now, I would say. I'm busy. Busy doing what? Watching videos of people I didn't even know. Videos that meant absolutely nothing. But the worst part was at night. I stayed awake until 2 or 3 in the morning, endlessly scrolling through feeds. My mom didn't know. Whenever I heard footsteps in the hallway, I quickly hid my phone under my pillow. And look, I wasn't a bad daughter. My grades were good. I didn't drink or use substances. Every Sunday, I went to church with my family. But even there, during Mass, my mind wasn't present. I was thinking about the photo I was going to post later. This lighting is perfect for a selfie, I would think. I'll post it with the hashtag blessed. The truth is, I was physically present in my life. But mentally, I was always somewhere else, waiting for the next notification, the next like, the next video. Then came Tuesday, April 15th. I remember that day perfectly, because my best friend Ashley was going to post the results of a dance contest she had participated in. I was desperate to see if she had won. My mom was driving me to the dentist for a routine appointment, and I hated it, because it meant an entire hour away from my phone. Inside the car, my mom tried to talk to me. I barely listened. Ashley had just posted a photo, and I was analyzing every detail, every comment, every reaction. Emily, I'm talking to you, my mom said, starting to sound irritated. Sorry, Mom. What did you say? She sighed. Nothing, honey. Forget it. I kept scrolling. TikTok. Instagram. Back to TikTok again. There was a viral dance video that I wanted to learn. I replayed it again and again, trying to memorize the choreography. Outside, the highway stretched ahead of us. It was raining lightly. Nothing dangerous. Just a normal Tuesday afternoon. Soft music was playing on the radio. Cars moved steadily along the road. Then my mom said, Emily, can you check if the next exit is ours? I forgot my glasses and I can't read the sign. MHM, I answered automatically. But I didn't look up. I was still watching the dance video. Emily, she said again, more firmly. Please help me. Just a second, Mom. I was writing a comment on Ashley's post. You look perfect, girl. And that 1 second changed everything. Suddenly, my mom screamed. Not a scream of annoyance. A scream of pure terror. Emily, I lifted my eyes from the phone. And I saw it. A truck coming straight toward us. The driver had fallen asleep for just a few seconds. But those seconds were enough. His truck had crossed into our lane. My mom jerked the steering wheel violently. Our car skidded off the road. We went down a small embankment and slammed into a huge tree. I remember the sound. Metal twisting, glass shattering, the airbag exploding, and then silence. The next thing I remember was floating. I was above the car. Looking down, I could see my own body inside the vehicle. Unconscious. My mom was screaming my name, trying to wake me. People had stopped their cars. Someone called an ambulance. I tried to shout, Mom, I'm here. I'm okay. But she couldn't hear me. The paramedics arrived. I watched them pull my body out of the wrecked car. They placed me inside the ambulance. And then something strange happened. I felt myself being pulled upward. away from the accident, away from the road. Everything around me became brighter, but it wasn't a painful light. It didn't hurt my eyes. It was a light that felt alive, a light that seemed to embrace my whole being. And then I saw her, the Virgin Mary. I know it may sound unbelievable, but the moment I saw her, I knew exactly who she was. She wasn't wearing the blue clothes from the paintings in church. Instead, she seemed surrounded by a soft white light. But I could see her face clearly. She was the most beautiful person I had ever seen. Not a beauty like models on social media. It was something deeper, as if love itself had a face. "Emily," she said. "My daughter." Her voice sounded like music. I began to cry, not from sadness, from something I didn't even have a word for. It felt like every bit of love I had ever wanted was present in that moment. "Am I dead?" I asked. "For a time," she answered gently. "But there is something you need to see before you decide whether you wish to stay or return." She extended her hand. When I touched it, everything around us changed. Suddenly, we were somewhere else. It was like watching a giant movie screen. But the movie was my life. "Emily," she said softly, "I want you to see your life through my eyes. Through the eyes of someone who loves you unconditionally." The first scene appeared. Breakfast that very morning. But this time, I saw something I had never noticed before. My mother. She was trying to talk to me. She was telling me about a conversation she had with my grandmother. "Your grandmother asked about you today, Emily," she said. "She's been feeling lonely. She wondered if you could call her later." But in the scene, I wasn't listening at all. My eyes were glued to my phone. I didn't even hear her. I watched as my mother tried again to get my attention. Then she sighed and gave up. The Virgin Mary gently touched my shoulder. "Do you see the sadness in her eyes? She feels as though she has lost her daughter. You are there physically, but your heart and mind are always somewhere else." Then the next scene appeared. It was late at night, maybe 1 in the morning. Jake, my little brother, had woken up from a nightmare. I could see him standing outside my bedroom door. He looked scared. He wanted to talk to me. He stood there for almost 5 minutes, gathering the courage to knock. Finally, he tapped softly on the door. "Emily, are you awake?" I remembered that night. I had heard him, but I pretended to be asleep, because I didn't want to stop watching YouTube videos. Jake slowly walked back to his room, alone, and that was only the beginning of what the Virgin Mary was about to show me. Through the eyes of someone who loves you unconditionally. That's what the Virgin Mary told me. And then the scenes of my life continued. The first one was breakfast that same morning. But this time, I could truly see my mother. Not just her face, her emotions, her thoughts, her loneliness. She was talking to me gently. "Your grandmother asked about you yesterday, Emily," she said. "She's been feeling a little lonely lately. She wondered if you could call her today." But in that moment, in the movie of my life, I was completely absorbed by my phone, scrolling, reading comments, watching videos. I wasn't listening at all. I watched my mother try again to get my attention. "Emily." She waited. Then she sighed quietly and stopped talking. The Virgin Mary placed her hand softly on my shoulder. "Do you see the sadness in her eyes?" she asked. "She feels as if she has lost her daughter. You are physically present, but your heart and your mind are always somewhere else." Her words pierced me, because for the first time, I could see the truth. Then another scene appeared. It was late at night, maybe 1 in the morning. My little brother Jake had woken up from a nightmare. I saw him standing in the hallway outside my bedroom door. He looked small and scared. He wanted to talk to me. He stood there for several minutes, gathering the courage to knock. Finally, he tapped softly on the door. "Emily, are you awake?" I remembered that moment perfectly. I had heard him, but I didn't answer. I pretended to be asleep, because I didn't want to stop watching YouTube videos. I watched as Jake slowly turned away from the door. He walked back to his room, alone. The Virgin Mary showed me what happened next. Jake stayed awake the rest of the night, afraid the nightmare would come back. "Your little brother needed you," she said softly. "He admires you more than you know. But you chose videos of strangers instead of comforting someone who loves you." I felt my heart break. Then the scene changed again. It was Sunday morning in church. I was sitting with my parents in the pew. From the outside, everything looked perfect. In fact, I had even taken a nice photo that morning. I had posted it online with the hashtag blessed. But in reality, I wasn't listening to anything happening in that church. The priest was speaking about compassion, about how important it is to be present for the people we love. But my mind wasn't there. I was thinking about something else entirely. How many likes had my photo received? Should I reply to the comments? Was the picture getting enough attention? The Virgin Mary showed me something I had never noticed. My parents were truly listening. They were praying, trying to connect with God in that moment. And I was sitting right beside them, completely disconnected. You see, my daughter, the Virgin Mary said gently, your soul was hungry. You were searching for connection, for love, for meaning, but you were looking for it in the wrong places. Then the hardest part began. She showed me all the moments of my life that I had missed, moments that had been right in front of me, but that I never truly lived, because my eyes were always fixed on a screen. Moments with my parents, moments with my brother, moments that could have become memories, but instead, they simply passed. And the saddest thing, she said softly, and for the first time, I saw a tear in her eyes, is that all the hours you gave to those screens were hours that could have been used to discover who you truly are. Hours you could have spent knowing your family, knowing yourself, knowing God. Then suddenly we were in another place. It felt as if I was seeing the world through her eyes, the Virgin Mary's eyes. And what she showed me shocked me. I saw teenagers, young people my age, all over the world, in bedrooms, in buses, in classrooms, in restaurants, in parks, everywhere. And almost every one of them was doing the same thing. Heads down, eyes fixed on glowing screens, scrolling endlessly. This is what I see every day, she said. Her voice carried a deep maternal sadness. An entire generation of my children, physically alive, but spiritually asleep. Then she showed me specific lives. Real people. A 14-year-old girl sitting in a school bathroom. She was crying quietly. She had just seen pictures of a party she wasn't invited to. That night, she spent 3 hours comparing herself to the perfect lives she saw online. The girl's name was Madison. She used to be joyful, the Virgin Mary said. She used to be confident. But now she believes she is not good enough. She believes she is not pretty enough. She believes she is not worthy of being loved. And Madison was only the beginning of what the Virgin Mary was about to reveal. Then the Virgin Mary showed me another scene. A 15-year-old boy sitting alone in his room. The glow of a screen illuminated his face in the dark. It was already 4 o'clock in the morning, but he was still playing violent video games. Energy drinks were scattered across his desk. His school books were closed and forgotten. His name is Ryan. The Virgin Mary explained gently. His grades are falling. He has become aggressive with his family, and he can no longer feel joy in anything except the games. She showed me something that hurt to see. Ryan used to love drawing. He had a natural talent. Sketchbooks filled with beautiful characters and landscapes were stacked in the corner of his room. But now they were covered in dust. His creativity is slowly dying, she said, and his ability to focus is being destroyed. Then more scenes appeared. Dozens of them. Teenagers sending cruel messages to classmates. Girls doing dangerous challenges just to get more views. Boys consuming content that was distorting their understanding of love and relationships. Everywhere I looked, there were screens. And behind every screen, there was a young person searching for something they didn't fully understand. All of these young people, the Virgin Mary said softly, are my children. I love them infinitely, but they can no longer hear my voice. Her voice carried deep sadness. The noise around them is too loud. The notifications, the music, the endless videos. And behind that noise, she paused, is something far more dangerous than you imagine. Then she showed me something deeper, something that stretched across history. I saw scenes from the past, times when believers were persecuted, times when people were threatened for their faith. For centuries, she explained, the enemy tried to separate people from God through fear. But today, he has found a more subtle way. He no longer needs persecution. He simply distracts. People are given things that look good, entertainment, connection, information. But slowly, quietly, those things pull them away from what truly matters. Then she showed me something that shocked me. She showed me the inside of tech companies. Rooms full of scientists and analysts studying the human brain. These applications are designed very carefully, she explained. They are built to capture attention. Many of the techniques they use were copied from casinos. Variable rewards, bright colors, specific sounds, psychological triggers, all carefully engineered to keep people hooked. She showed me the simple gesture of pulling down to refresh a screen. That movement, she said, is almost identical to the lever of a slot machine. You never know what will appear next. And because of that, you keep pulling, again and again, and again. Then she showed me something else. Infinite feeds. Pages with no end. No stopping point. Because if something never ends, it becomes almost impossible to walk away. They know exactly what they are doing, she said. And most parents do not realize what their children are facing. But then she showed me the most frightening part. The effect this constant noise was having on the human soul. She showed people trying to pray, trying to meditate, trying to sit quietly with themselves. But after only a few seconds, they felt uncomfortable, restless. They reached for their phones. You need silence, the Virgin Mary said. But your minds are being trained to need constant stimulation, constant noise. Then she showed me moments from my own life. Moments when God had tried to reach my heart. Moments of quiet. Moments when I could have felt his presence. But every time, I had grabbed my phone. I had filled the silence with noise. God speaks in silence, my daughter, she said softly. But you are losing the ability to hear him. After showing me all of this, she brought me somewhere else. A place beyond anything I had ever experienced. It was impossible to describe. There were no walls, no ground, no sky. Yet I felt completely surrounded. Surrounded by love. It felt like being inside love itself. Every pain I had ever carried disappeared. Every fear melted away. Emily, the Virgin Mary said gently, you now have a choice. You can remain here with me. In this place where there is no suffering, no distractions, no pain. Or, you can return. The idea of staying there was incredibly tempting. Being surrounded by that perfect love felt better than anything I had ever experienced on earth. Going back meant returning to confusion, to struggles, to the chaos of everyday life. But one question filled my mind. If I stay here, I asked quietly, what will happen to my family? The Virgin Mary looked at me with tenderness, but there was sadness in her smile. Your mother, she said softly, would never forgive herself for the accident. She would blame herself for the rest of her life. Your father would slowly grow bitter, and he would lose his faith. And Jake, she paused. Jake would grow up believing he should have spent more time with you before it was too late. And in that moment, I realized that my story was not finished yet. Then the Virgin Mary showed me something else. She showed me what would happen if I chose to return. If you go back, she said gently, life will not suddenly become easy. You will have to learn to live in a different way. You will face the same temptations that trapped you before, the same distractions, the same noise. But you will also have something else, a mission. She showed me a vision of the future. I saw myself back on Earth, but living differently. I saw myself helping other young people who were trapped the way I had been. I saw myself reconnecting with my family, laughing with them, talking with them, living with purpose. The choice is yours, my dear daughter, she said. And suddenly I understood something very clearly. My life was not only about me. I thought about my mother sitting in a hospital waiting room, blaming herself for the accident. I thought about my father rushing home from his business trip, terrified he might lose his daughter. And I thought about Jake, my little brother, probably scared and confused. I want to go back, I said. I want another chance. I want to live differently. The Virgin Mary smiled. Then she embraced me. It was the most perfect hug I have ever experienced. It felt like pure love, like peace itself. Remember everything you have seen here, she said softly. And remember that I am always with you, even when you cannot feel me. The next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital. Machines were beeping. There were tubes connected to my arms. My throat felt dry. My whole body ached. But the first thing I thought about wasn't the pain. It was my mother. Mom. My voice was barely a whisper. She was sitting beside my bed. Her eyes were swollen from crying. When she heard my voice, she jumped up. Emily. Oh my God. Emily. She started crying and laughing at the same time. You're back. You came back to me. Doctors rushed into the room. Nurses checked the monitors. They said something that stunned everyone. I had been clinically dead for 14 minutes. They called it a miracle, a medical miracle. But deep in my heart, I knew exactly who had given me that miracle. A few hours later, my father arrived. He had driven all night to reach the hospital. When he saw me awake, he broke down in tears. I had never seen my father cry like that before. Then Jake came into the room. At first he was scared. He stood near the door, like he wasn't sure if I was real. But when I said, "Come here, little brother," he ran across the room and hugged me as tightly as he could. The first thing my parents asked me was something simple. Do you want us to bring you your phone? For the first time in years. I shook my head. No. At least not right now. They looked surprised, but they respected it. I stayed in the hospital for a week. And during that week, something incredible happened. I talked. Not small talk. Real conversations. I asked my parents about their lives, their dreams, their fears, their hopes. I discovered things I had never known. My dad had always wanted to write a book, but he never believed he had time. My mom had been thinking about going back to school, but she was afraid it was too late. And Jake told me something that broke my heart. He had been bullied at school, but he had never told anyone. He was too scared. In that hospital room, it felt like I was meeting my own family for the very first time. That was 5 months ago, and my life today is completely different. I won't lie to you. The first weeks were hard. Very hard. Without my phone, I felt anxious. My hands literally shook. It felt like something was missing. But slowly, with the help of my family, and with prayer, I became free. Today I still have a phone, but we use it differently. Every evening from 6 to 9, our house becomes a screen-free home. Phones stay in a box in the living room. And do you know what we do during those hours? We cook together. We play cards. We talk. We laugh. Sometimes we just sit on the couch and watch a movie together, enjoying each other's presence. Every week, I call my grandmother. She gets so happy she almost always cries. She tells me stories about her youth, stories I had never heard before. Jake and I became best friends. Now when he talks about his problems at school, I really listen. My grades improved. My sleep improved. My anxiety dropped drastically. But the biggest change is something else. For the first time in years, I feel present in my own life. I still use social media, but now I use it very differently. I post less, and I connect more with real people. Whenever I feel that urge to scroll endlessly, I remember what the Virgin Mary showed me, and I stop. And do you know the most incredible thing? I started to feel God's presence again. When I pray now, truly pray, without distractions, I feel that same love I felt during those 14 minutes. Not as strong, but it's there. Quiet, peaceful, real. If you have listened to my story until this moment, thank you. I know it might sound unbelievable, but I had to share it, because maybe someone listening right now is living the same way I was. If your phone controls your life, there is hope. You can be free. You don't have to almost die to understand what really matters. Start with something small. Put your phone away during dinner. Look into people's eyes when they talk to you. Call someone you love instead of sending a message. Because real life, true life, is happening right in front of you. Don't miss it. The Virgin Mary saved my life that day. But more than that, she showed me how to save myself. And if she did that for me, she can do it for you too. You only need to lift your eyes from the screen and look upward. Before I finish, I want to ask you for one thing. Write in the comments, I choose Mary. This simple phrase is a small step toward lifting your eyes from distractions and returning to what truly matters. And subscribe to the channel. Here we share testimonies and miracles of the Virgin Mary that can strengthen your faith and transform your family. May the Virgin Mary watch over everyone who heard this story and guide our steps closer to God. Amen.